What's going on, everybody? This is Gregatron. This video is for my top 10 favorite uh, children's shows of all time. Like, all the kids' shows that I liked, condensed in my top 10. Alright, there won't be anime just because I already did a video of my top 10 anime, so it wouldn't really be fair, but this is it. So, number 10, I got the Rugrats, a classic show from Nick. The Rugrats was just so much fun. Uh, Basically, just because of their imagination, every episode they'd be doing something different. They'd be getting into something, but their imagination would expand like worlds. They're always doing something. The babies, they really balanced each other out. Like Tommy and Chucky were best friends, and then if that wasn't enough, we had the twins. Phil and Lil had this sibling rivalry thing where it's like they never got along. They'd always be fighting over stuff. And then we had Angelica, who's always calling all of them "you stupid babies," and she was kind of a bitch. But I mean, can't really call her a bitch. She's a kid, whatever. But yeah, Rugrats number 10. Number 9, Dexter's Lab. Dexter's Lab is just ridiculous. The concept is just funny. The whole show is just funny. Uh, we have a boy genius who has a secret laboratory in his room that's the size of a city. It was huge. It was ridiculous. And it was just so fun how many ways he had to get into the lab. Like maybe he could hit a switch and the mat would fall, so he falls through the floor and goes through all these tunnels. Or maybe he'll take a book halfway off the shelf, then the whole bookshelf will move. Or he'll take the book all the way off, open it, press a button, then the shelf might move, or he might have a piano or something. It was just a lot of fun. And him and his sister's relationship, Dee Dee, she would always get into the lab, and he's always trying to keep her out of it because she's always tearing stuff up. And she was like a menace when it came to his lab because he was so protective over it. And it was just so funny how one episode he had to go in outer space or something. So he has a rocket in his lab, and the rocket's taking off. So they show the house on the outside. The roof of the house flips open. The rocket shoots out. And then the roof closes back over it. It's just too funny. No. That's Dexter's Laboratory. Number 8, I got the Power Rangers. Power Rangers really got me into martial arts, and I was born into the Power Rangers. The first season I was 90 or 91, so I was born in 92, so I was born into the Power Rangers. It's one of the few shows that I actually got to grow with. Mighty Morphin was a classic. We could not get enough of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. That was the longest season by far. Then we had Power Rangers Zeo. They brought back some classic people. Power Rangers Turbo was a lot of fun with the cars. After that, we had Power Rangers in Space. I still had fun with it in Space. They brought back some, or they didn't, I don't think they brought anybody back, but they had a lot of new characters on that one. Then we had Lost Galaxy. That was still cool. Now, at this point, Power Rangers is still good, okay? That's like 6 to 8 years in. What do we have after Lost Galaxy? There's just so many good Power Rangers. Lost Galaxy. I'm not even gonna mess with that because I'm gonna get them scrambled up. But they just had so many great seasons, and like I said, I got to grow with it, and I got to be the Power Rangers. Like when you're a kid, you want to be that hero. So I was always the Red Ranger. My older brother was usually the Green Ranger. My younger brother was usually the Blue Ranger. So it was just a lot of fun, and we had all the toys and everything. So Number 7, I got Keenan and Cal. Keenan and Cal is just hilarious. I think it's the best duo ever when it comes to kids shows, whatever, you know. Keenan and Cal, because there's these two friends, and they're kind of like opposites of each other, you know. Keenan kind of has his head on straight. You know, Keenan kind of gets the gist. He knows right from wrong. He knows what he's doing. He has like a moral understanding of how stuff is supposed to. He believes in order, okay? And then Cal really doesn't care what he does. He doesn't really care for consequences. So like Cal will do something, and Keenan will be like, "Hey man, what are you doing? You're not supposed to be doing that." And Cal's like, "I don't know." You know, and there's this one episode where there's a rat in the restaurant they work in. So they keep the rat as a pet. They keep it in a cage, right? Cal opens the cage. They come back and the rat's gone. Keenan's like, "What happened to the rat?" And Cal's like, "Well, I opened the door for it so he can get some air." And Keenan's like, "There's holes in the cage, Cal." Oh, you know, it's just too funny. And especially the intro. I loved the intro for that show. Number 6, I have the X-Men. You know, I was watching the X-Men since I was little, and that's a show that really got me into comics and stuff. My favorite was Beast and Cyclops. Again, I was them. You know, my older brother was Wolverine, younger brother was Gambit. It was just so cool seeing these people with these extraordinary powers and gifts, whatever you want to call it. Then we had the Brotherhood, which they were kind of the villains, but at the same time, they didn't think they were bad guys. Like Magneto didn't feel he was the bad guy. He just felt like he was doing what was right. So Magneto was a great villain. You know, they had a lot of good villains like, you know, Juggernaut and Gladiator. And, you know, the Phoenix, she's one of my favorites. So they brought a ton of good villains. Just the whole story of the X-Men was just really good. Number 5, I have Hey Arnold. You know, Hey Arnold, to me, that's a classic show. That's some classic stuff from Nick. The storytelling, I really like the stuff. They just showed the life of this kid who kind of went through some shit. I'm not gonna say it's not like he was bullied, but this show was just really down to earth, and it was just pretty real, really realistic. You know, there were all these kids that were totally different, and like his whole class of kids just brought all these personalities, which was really cool. Then we had Helga. She was kind of a bitch. She was a bitch to him all the time, all the time. And then she'd go home and just go on and on and on about how she loves Arnold, and I'm like, damn girl, you get yourself together. But I couldn't get enough of Hey Arnold. Number 4, I got the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Now, the Fresh Prince isn't really a kid's show. You know, anybody can watch the Fresh Prince. But it belongs in this list because I just love the show. Again, with this show, the characters, you know, everybody brings something different and new and something special to the table. You know, and the way they interact with each other, you know, the way Carlton and Will can go at it, you know. Uncle Phil and Will can go at it, you know. Jeffrey and Uncle Phil might go at it. Or Will and Jeffrey, you know, their relationship. You know, Ashley and Hillary, when they get into it. Carlton and Ashley, you know, there's just so many combinations. It's just so good to see this family. And it's funny. Every episode is funny, you know. Will provides a majority of the jokes. You know, we got joke after joke from him. It's funny, though. And we had Jazz, Will's buddy, who's always getting thrown out the house, you know, which we see coming. But this show has got to be in my top 10. This is one of the best shows ever put on TV. Number 3, I got Spider-Man. This show also got me into comics. You know, I could not get enough of Spider-Man. Really, his villains, you know, I liked watching his villains more than Spider-Man himself. Venom is my favorite villain, period. Dr. Octopus was great. The Goblins, they were great. Kraven the Hunter. Just all these epic villains with these epic backstories and these epic personalities. And, Spider-Man kind of taught us Uncle Ben taught us that with great power comes great responsibility, and that was very special. Now, not only did Spider-Man hold that true to him, but as kids, we kind of remember that too. So like even to this day, growing up, like that can still, click to some people, that phrase. And the action was intense. I really liked seeing how Spider-Man had to come up to defeat these people. Rhino and Shocker and the Lizards. The Scorpion. Just great villains, great stuff. Now, number 2, I got the Gargoyles. To me, this is just classic. This is from Fox Kids, I believe. Classic show. The concept was just so smart. There's these gargoyles 1,000 years ago, and they're betrayed by the humans and locked away from this spell. They're stoned for 1,000 years, and this spell finally breaks. So several years later, they wake up, and now they have to adjust to current day society. Now that's the concept. That's the idea. They stuck with that idea, which a lot of shows can't do nowadays and get it right. But the Gargoyles was just perfect. It was dark. It was kind of violent. And again, characters in this show. My favorite was Hudson, the old man, and then I liked Brooklyn. He was the red one. But the way they had to defend themselves against society was really good. Kind of like the X-Men, how they're hated and feared, but Goliath believed that they have to be better. So in a way, it is kind of like X-Men, but I just liked it so much better because of the darkness, and it was just so real. The Gargoyles and their personalities. So I can't say enough good stuff. Oh, and they had some really epic music. Probably the best music. Number 1, I got Half Man. I got Batman the Animated Series. Another dark show. Now this isn't really a show. I mean, it's targeted for kids, but it's not a kid's show. Anybody can watch Batman the Animated Series. I'm 20 years old. I still watch the show. This show was very dirty. It was just really gritty and dark, and as a kid, sometimes even hard to watch. There was arson. Firefly would burn stuff down. Joker had people. Two-Face had people who had machine guns, or everybody shooting at Batman. There was gangster shit. The first cartoon I had ever seen that really did gangster shit good. Now, what really made the show, not the gangsters, but just the villains in general. I just named a couple already, but the Scarecrow was my favorite villain. Poison Ivy was a good villain. Mr. Freeze was good. Bane was good. They didn't really have a bad villain. Robin had his own story going on in the way Batman and Robin have to put up with each other. And then, of course, we have Alfred. But this show did a great job of portraying Batman. And, of course, we had the best voice actor, Kevin Conroy, as Batman. And all the voice actors were good, but, we had the best. So, I was also born into Batman, like 92, So, gotta be my favorite show. Gotta be. So that's my top 10 list. I don't want to make this video too long for y'all. But let me know what's your favorite show. What's your top 5 or top 10, whatever you want to do. Make a response if you want. If you're a 90s kid, what did you like to watch back then? There are some other good shows. The Amanda Show, The Hulk, Batman Beyond, Samurai Jack. The Proud Family, Doug, Looney Tunes, Courage the Cowardly Dog, Justice League, Powerpuff Girls, Rocket Power. Just so many good shows that didn't make it, but that's my video.